displaying the glory of God's creation by exploring America one park at a time. Welcome to Parking Full Time with Big Dave, the park's professor. 10th hole. The par and distance are at the top of the screen. This hole plays in a narrow strip of land between the park road off to the left and a ditch off to the right. That ditch does have plenty of water in it, and there's also quite a few trees over there, the dense woods over there. And so if you miss to the right here, that's at least going to be a tough recovery throw, and maybe a lost disc. There are also quite a few overhanging limbs, and so this hole has a low ceiling as well. I do want to welcome you back to Parking Full Time. I am Big Dave, the parks professor. The two distances I'm giving you at the top of the screen are because most holes on this course have two different basket positions, a long position and a short position. On this hole, the basket was in the long position when I walked about this course, and so that's where we are walking to. This isn't one of my favorite holes on this course, but it is one of the hardest holes on this course. There's the 10th basket, and there's the view back to the tee from behind the basket. Hole number 11 is the same flavor as the previous hole. It's not quite as tight, and the ceiling is not quite as low, but you still have the ditch off to the right, and you still have plenty of length. In fact, this is the longest hole on this course. The basket was in the long position when I did this walkabout, and therefore we are going to see all 950 feet of this hole. We're going to jump across a wet area here. One of the weaknesses of this course is the drainage. This park sits on an old strip coal mine, and partly because of that, this course does not drain well. There are a number of places where I ended up walking through an inch or two of water on this course, even though it had not rained recently, and every other course and hiking trail in this area was pretty dry. As with the previous hole, I'm not sure this is one of my favorite holes, but it is definitely a handful. There's the 11th basket, and there's the view back to the tee from behind the basket. After two really long holes, now we get a shorter but much tighter hole, and this hole has the lowest ceiling of any hole on this course, so you're going to need a low and accurate throw to get close to this basket in only one throw. We are at Indian Mountain State Park, and that is Indian Mountain you see in the background there. We are in Jellico, Tennessee, and so we're in northern Tennessee, about 3 miles off of I-75, and only about 2 miles south of Kentucky. Directly behind this basket is the park road. That park road is out of bounds, so regardless of whether you're approaching the basket with your first or second throw, you really don't want to overthrow here. The 13th hole is technically the second of 3 holes with forced water carries, but you can see it's only about 50 feet across the water, and therefore this is by far the easiest of the forced water carries. We're going to jump across the water, and then we're going to walk up to the basket. This hole is very wide open. There is the lake off to the left that continues up the fairway. Swimming is not allowed at this park, so if you throw the disc into the lake, that will be a lost disc. I captured this video on Tuesday, May the 7th, and it was a warm and humid day with temperatures in the low 80s when I came here. We're coming up to the basket. You can see this is a very wide open hole, and other than the lake off to the left, this really is a very boring hole. There's the view back to the tee. The 14th hole starts out as another very open hole. This hole does play across 2 park roads, and even though these park roads are not particularly heavily trafficked, that can be a safety hazard because you can't really see the traffic coming out of the trees to the left here. I want to take the boringness of this hole as an opportunity to thank you for watching. Parking Full Time would not be anything without the people who watch. I realize that every day, and I heartily thank you every day. Also, I do not make any monetary compensation for anything I do for this project. I took a vow to do that many years ago, and I have stuck to that vow. And so all I get for doing these videos are your likes, your subscribes, your views, and your comments, and I do appreciate all of those things. Here's the 14th basket, and here's the view back down the fairway to the tee. The 15th hole is another hole that plays across the park road, and therefore it has the same safety hazard as the previous hole. We're starting out in this really open area, but the basket is located in the woods that you see up ahead. As we get up close to the basket, there are some big trees on either side, and some dense woods off to the right, but the gap between them is still pretty big, and therefore this is still a pretty open hole. Right before we get to the basket, off to the right, you're going to see what looks like a big rock. That's actually a snapping turtle. So there are some interesting scenery and wildlife here, even if some of the holes aren't really that exciting. There's the view back to the tee. The 16th hole is another moderately wooded hole, and it plays along the same dense woods off to the left, so you really don't want to miss left. That's going to be at least a tough recovery throw, and maybe even a lost disc. This is a tough tee shot through a veritable picket fence of trees, but if you can manage to hit your tight line through those trees, then this hole really opens up. At 340 feet though, it's still going to be a really tough birdie. You can see it came a quick shower on me here as I was walking this hole. This shower lasted literally 1 minute. That's fairly typical summer weather in the Tennessee mountains. There's the view back to the tee from behind the basket and through the rain. 17th hole is the signature hole on this course. When the basket is in the back location, it is a double forced water carry. The tee shot is over the corner of the lake, and the opposite shore is angled, so you get to choose how much of the lake you want to bite off with your tee shot. We jumped over the lake, and now we're going to dogleg to the right and head over to the basket. Now, to get to the basket when it's in the long position, you also have to cross the lake's outflow, which we're coming up on right here. So again, double forced water carry. This is the signature hole on this course, and it's definitely the most exciting hole on this course. There's the view from behind the basket. The 18th hole is another long hole, and it's a little bit anticlimactic of a finish after we played the previous hole. This hole is a fairly open hole. The lake is off to the right, and this hole does dogleg to the right around the lake, but the lake's far enough right that it would take a pretty bad throw to end up there. There is the walking path up here to the right, and also to the left, and that walking path does see a decent bit of traffic, and that can be a safety hazard on this hole. Overall, this isn't one of my favorite courses. The Tennessee state parks have some excellent courses, but this isn't really one of them. There are a few really good holes here with the forced water carries and with the ditch and the low ceilings to deal with, but there are also some pretty unremarkable holes here. And it's only 3 miles off of I-75, so you'll have to decide if you're driving through North Tennessee whether the few really good holes are worth playing this course for. The long basket position is located directly behind this large tree, which is off to the left as you walk down the fairway, so there is some strategy and accuracy required on this hole. That is the end of the course. Have a great afternoon, take care, and Lord bless.